Hello and welcome to the delicious recipe here on UPRN. And I think I called this one there Chili con Carne, because everybody needs a nice bowl of warm comfort food there. Almost as good as having beans and wieners on toast. But it is April 26th, and so we're running a little bit late there. The station there dealing with hurricane season, so there might be some little delays there from time to time. But thanks for bearing with us, and thanks for listening along. And if you want to go and check us out, you can check us out on the UPN UFO Paranormal YouTube station. They're also on the other stuff, Facebook and other stuff like that, where you can watch live. And if you have questions, stuff like that, we are on StreamYard, and we'll try and follow along and get things there. And I'll introduce my other half there, Lorilei, who's joined me again there. Say hello, Lorilei.
Say hello, Lorile. I got to say that. Hi, everybody. I'm Lorilei Puffin. I'm Dell's other half, and I'm the host on this network as well, Monday nights with the Angel Rock.
Okie dokie. So there we are. There, I'm just getting everything all set up there and hooked up there as we were just jumping into this stuff there. And while we were waiting, I went outside there. We're starting to get a little bit of rain. I noticed I didn't have the barbecue covered over. And as I went outside, and this is weird. This is April or August 26th, and all of a sudden I saw the first set of geese in V formation flying north. And I went, "Wow,
sign.
That's really depressing already."
That's a good sign.
Yesterday, I was out at camp. There, was doing some work on the deck, and they had here in Thunder Bay. They said, "Oh, it's 26 degrees Celsius." So if you're thinking about that in Fahrenheit, you double that and add 30 to it. So that's 52. So about 82. And on the deck where I was working, it was 38.5 degrees Celsius. So double that and add 30. So you're looking at about 102, 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Big change from about 20, 30 miles away from one side of town to the other out at camp. But yeah, there was and then the other thing that I noticed that was sort of different. So it's this big hot weather. Today we're getting a little bit of cool weather. So I see these geese flying in a V formation going north, and that's the first set I've seen. Maybe they're looking for a good spot. They want to get in there quickly so they get their pick of the best spot. Then I noticed the trees around the backyard that we back onto a schoolyard, these big trees, and the leaves are falling already. I'm going,
We didn't even
wow.
get any lilacs. Like normally we get lilacs back there, and I think it's telling because our dog, I don't know why, she's a German Shepherd, but she sheds always, from season to season. So usually from winter into summer, she'll lose her coat. But I'm telling you, I brushed her. Yes, the house looked like it hadn't been vacuumed. It was just, I knew it was her undercoat. I brushed her yesterday. I kid you not, I got a bag like this big of dog fur and all blowing in the wind out in the yard. So my thing is, you've seen the geese now, the dog shedding early. I think it's telling us something about the winter coming.
Yeah, who knows? We might get this early winter time. Like usually we're looking at geese, and like we haven't even had hunting season yet, and for deer and moose and that, and partridge, and we already got geese going up. So you got to wonder about what's going on in the world there in the animal kingdom. That who knows? It could be a lot of things. And this is a whole thing about the show, asking questions, throwing things into the pot. We've increased exponentially in the past while all of our technology and blasting waves through the atmosphere, and that maybe it might be playing a little bit of havoc with animals and getting them moving, because they travel through the magnetic lines that the earth naturally occurs, whatever. So that's how they go and find their way. That's why you always wonder why why birds and that, they travel lines, why animals point certain directions and that. But
There's been
interesting.
a lot of reports, though, of animals, their navigation systems really being messed up in the last year, especially like whales beaching themselves. Never mind birds dropping dead out of the sky. I mean, there was a video I saw from Belgium this summer that this gentleman was filming. I kid you not, every inch, not even inch, there was dead bees everywhere, like dying all over the place. So there's something going on.
Yeah, that's it. And that's another part that comes into this part about nature, and that is that you sent me a video as I was going out to camp there with my mom, and I
Mhm.
played a little part of it. I didn't watch the whole thing there, but if you want to discuss this, because you watched the whole thing there about the farmers, about destroying crops.
Mm.
This was a story that we sort of had touched on this before, about because of this whole COVID thing and pandemic thing that was going on, that there was also a part they're going in with farmers and crops, and about food shortages actually coming up there. And this video, if you want to explain the video there for our listeners
Yeah.
out.
Oh, well, first of all, when it first came up, we were hearing this from people over in India and over in called the older world, over in Europe and places like this. That is, but especially in India, farmers were sounding the alarm that their farmland was being bought up by the government. They were basically buying up their food and letting it rot. Plus, never mind with this, what we have with CV-19, there's not enough people to plant. So there's going to be some food shortages they've been talking about, but this was scary. I'm just going to give it, we got somebody in the chat. We got Greg Skeen. So he says witchcraft. Well, could be, could not be. We'll see. But with this video, it was somebody from Omaha, Nebraska, whose father had been in the farming industry for 40 years, and he didn't think much of it till his buddy was talking to him. And he said that what's coming out, and he showed some of the documents, that farmers are being told that if you do not destroy your crops, I guess with the taxes they get charged in the states, they said usually the government reimburses them when they buy their food back. So he went through the video and said that they were given two choices: either they could destroy the crops themselves, or the government would just destroy them with Agent Orange, is what he said. And again, he mentioned where he was in Omaha, Nebraska. He said this is happening to many farmers he knew, that farmers are being told they have to destroy their crops or they will not get their tax kickback that they get every year. So this
Mm-hmm.
is pretty scary. I mean, this is people now coming out in the US where we live. We're not up in the Arctic, but we get a lot of our food and like vegetables and fruit and things like that from the US because our growing season isn't long enough. And then you're hearing now that this is what's happening with farmland. Never mind that Bill Gates was buying up most of the farmland all over, even here in Canada, he's buying it. So there's something coming.
Yeah, well, that's the thing there. It just I thought that was sort of an interesting story because I really hadn't heard that anywhere else. And then when you
Mhm,
showed me this video, and the guy was showing the paperwork about
mhm.
this, that it was sort of interesting that that would go on, because you figure, uh, as countries go on, you want to be a independent, self sufficient country. And I've talked about this many times on there. Is that fix home first before you want to fix the rest of the world, right? You should have everybody should be uh, plentiful or plentiful in their own country first before worrying about other places. But I don't know. That's just the way that sort of government works. The government, they think about themselves first, and they spend taxpayer money like it's their own money. And and then when they do things like this, and they go and they hinder that people can't get ahead. You see this sort of this divide between rich and
Well,
poor,
concerns
people in power and people not in power, that this separation is sort of happening.
What concerns me, because we're hearing this now, not in mainstream media, but we're not hearing anything in mainstream media. But the thing is, why would the government be paying farmers to destroy their crops? Like, I think we need to look at this here. Like, and again, I could understand if it was, this guy was just sort of spouting off. It was from TikTok. There's this. I was going to look up his username, but it's kind of hard to see. I don't want it to play while I'm live here, but he showed the paperwork. So it wasn't like this was something, that he just pulled out of the air. And again, I've been hearing it. The only good thing I said with you with your newer employment is you get to keep an eye on the food supply where you are. So I said, at least you'll hopefully have some warning if you're seeing some shortages, but I've been hearing this coming. So again, you know what, Del, we've talked about this many times, you and I, on your show, that we think knowledge is empowering. And the one thing, instead of, we're not sharing this to be fear mongering, it's that you have enough time to prepare. This guy says that you should be expecting to see this in about the next 8 months or so.
Mhm.
probably into the next growing season and what have you. So now that we know this, you can prepare for it, right?
Yeah, well, that's true, and like we've talked about this on your show and
Mhm.
beforehand, and many times there before about just this preparedness and like I'm not saying to become a prepper and that you have to go and go all commando off the grid and have this big huge food supply and stuff like that, but there is things that people should prepare for, and this is sort of segues into another part of this news part about Afghanistan, but before I get into there too, I also want to go and mention this other thing is that if you guys want to check out this whole part about, I watched this really great video, Russell Brand, actor, comedian, that, and the title of his thing there was on YouTube, COVID Power Grab. And it actually sort of really shows and highlights how this separation between government and people and this discourse that's going on there. And it goes into it. That goes into another sort of tree of this January 6th investigation that Nancy Pelosi, she's already said that she supports Biden and everything that's going on there and his whole thing there with Afghanistan. But also with this January 6th part, they're going through with this tribunal is that they're going to be going through into anybody's social media that supported Trump and be doxing all these people and going after them as in support of this the January 6th insurrection, I guess you would say, or this uh, raid into the Capitol. But people don't realize that BLM had done this beforehand. And then it's funny. You have a DNC, a Democratic president. You have the Speaker of the House is Democratic, and they're going after Trump supporters, Republican, or anybody that supported Trump in that way. They want to destroy this whole party right off the grid. They want to get rid of them, period. And now you have Democratic mayors in cities that allowed all this summer of love to happen, where they burnt down cities and people were killed and injured. Now they're asking for police now. Have you seen any of this stuff there at all there, Laura?
Oh yeah, yeah. What was it last summer? Cancel the police, and yeah, now we're seeing this. Seen a lot coming out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, especially a lot of the other cities. This Lori, what's her name now? I'm gonna Whitehead. Is it Whitehead, Whiteside, whatever? Yeah, every time I see that woman's face, and I'm sorry, but there was a meme I saw of Morning Breath had a face. Every time I see her face, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of her. It's the fact that, the policies. I seen somebody interviewing her, a reporter recently, and she was just absolutely obnoxious to him and started pulling the white supremacy card that, and all he was doing was asking questions that had nothing to do with race or anything like this, but anything to get away from the narrative of answering the questions, which anybody in her position, and she was one of the ones that was leading the narrative with cancel the police and what have you, and allowing this garbage to go on last summer.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know what? I don't want to answer the question, so I'll get obnoxious with you and I'll pull the "you're a white supremacist" card. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you're seeing that this is interesting. Even this even goes into what's happening here in North America, and well, we're in Canada, and we have an election coming up on September 20th, where we have JT and the Sunshine Band. They're going out on this whole big tour there about how great he is, and he's going to
Yeah,
get.
but I've seen some of the video of people. I didn't get a chance to send you this today. He was out in Surrey, BC I think it was yesterday, the day before. Oh my Lord, the people that were out there screaming, yelling at him, calling him every name in the book, like uh, a pedo while I'll say, so we don't trigger any
Yeah.
algorithms and what have you. He literally, this is how arrogant he is. He bowed. Thank you. Thank you, is what he said. And people were screaming at him, calling him a murderer. And so I don't think he's quite as well liked. I mean, he didn't have to call this election, right? Apparently he
Well,
did, because he figures his numbers are through the roof and he'll get a majority
right.
government this way.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he was figuring that he was going to go through that, and that's right. That he'd get supreme power. Like he's already done enough stuff here in Canada that I think a lot of people are impressed with. But there's a lot of people that are sort of unaware of what he's actually done. They just sort of go along. Government is good. They're the parent. They take care of us. and they
Mhm.
don't see the repercussions of what ends up happening there, where your rights and restrictions start happening in there. I've made this joke there many times there before, is that if he gets back in again, Canada will no longer be called Canada; it'll be called China,
Yeah.
and that's what it'll be. He glorifies and looks at China as that's the way the model of a country should
We
be.
won't be talking about this if he does get back in, because there's still Bill C-36 on the table. He gets
And
back in, he rushes that right through. It was
yeah,
already, they were going to control what we were watching, what we could see, what websites we could go to. And then this Bill C-36 is talking about hate speech. So, and it's hate speech according to his government. So if he doesn't like what you're saying, you can get 10 years in jail and a $50,000 fine.
yeah. See, that's the thing. That's why he was pushed for this election there. That he thought he was going to get majority so that he can push through all these bills. Right. That's he's looking at this, and the only problem is that a lot of the other candidates aren't much better. But I think, in my opinion, another thing to throw in the pot. I know what having something worse than him is a lot better than having uh, Canada go in the direction that he wants it to go.
I'm going to vote independent. Derek Sloan is running. He's been for the people. He got kicked out of his party. I'm
Mhm.
going to be voting independent if I vote at all, because I agree. The other party's not much better.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
going out of that there too. So we went through this. We only had we were a little bit shortened there tonight. There we'll go a little bit longer to go through whatever's going on here. So yeah. So if you want to look at this thing there, if anybody wants listening, go check out this Russell Brand, the thing on YouTube. It's called COVID Power Grab. It's actually really interesting, and it sort of highlights all the little things there that sort of going on, and it poses a lot of questions and a lot of things there for people to think about. I think it was really well done that what he did there. So we have the COVID cases or whatever in Canada. This is the Justin Trudeau plan that he's going to go put through to get everybody vaccinated through there, and they're trying to push through now in Ontario. And Doug Ford, or is it Doug or Rob Ford? One of the Fords, anyways. One's dead, one's alive. That's running stuff, and the teachers about making it mandatory that teachers all be vaccinated. Now this goes in the teachers union in Ontario is huge. It's a very powerful union. They own a lot of stuff. They really diversified their pension there, and they have the big powerful union. And they're like, hey, well, you got people that can't get the shot because of medical reasons, some of them for religious reasons, and some of these things for other reasons that they don't agree with. And this comes in here by making it mandatory. This becomes a human right issue in Canada. Now, human rights has only been really dealing with the transgender issues and stuff like that and fighting for these causes. They've sort of basically walked away from this shot, jab, vax issue, period, right? And it's sort of surprising that they've done that because they have a lot of sway, but they don't. And this all comes into a part of issue about should government dictate what you do to your body, or should it be a private issue between you and your doctor? And I'm for you and your doctor.
I don't
And
think there's any answer. I don't go into what I do for a living or what I did, but
yeah,
I'm a nurse, and take confidentiality very seriously. Never mind, doctors take the Hippocratic oath, do no
mhm.
harm. I just seen another video today. It was quite interesting because in the jabs, what was coming, and I've said as a nurse, when you give anything to a patient, it's got to be the right patient, right name. You got to check allergies. You got to be giving the right medication, right dose. You have to know all the side effects and what have you. And yet, in these jabs, we're coming blank inserts into these injections. And I'm off on permanent disability with a back injury, but I said, thank God I'm not working, because I probably would have been fired, because there's no way under God's green earth would I be giving somebody something that I had no idea what was in there. And they didn't. But somebody that was pregnant put a video out today that they're saying, because this has been mandated by the FDA now, it's been passed and it's not under emergency status. Mind you, I'm hearing different things. So I'm not too sure. I know the media is reporting that, but I've heard different things sort of in the underground independent news. But she basically went through all the side effects that were listed, because she said it's no longer blank. the
Hmm.
insert, and it was for pregnant women what it was saying. And I advise anybody that's pregnant or breastfeeding to definitely take a look at what the side effects are, because they basically tell you they have no clue what it can do.
Okay, yeah, and this comes into another part about travel there too as well. This is right from the Government of Canada website. Everybody see, boom, boom, boom. It says August 9th, 2021, border changes. Fully vaccinated foreign nationals will be allowed to enter Canada for discretionary travel on the following dates if they meet specific criteria. August 9th, American citizens and permanent residents of the United States currently residing in and arriving from the United States and who qualify for the fully vaccinated traveler exemption. September 7th, intended start date. All other foreign nationals who qualify for the fully vaccinated traveler exemption. Okay, that's the people that can go. Travelers will no longer required to book a 3-night hotel stopover when they enter Canada. And that's going for other people coming into Canada, but not Canadians going out of Canada and vacationing.
Well, you know what's happening to Canadians, though, because we were the only country that did this, that allowed you. I was having this heated discussion with Joe Montaldo, our owner and producer, and I told him we are allowing people to get two different types of the jab, and we
Yeah.
are. You can get Pfizer, and then if you can't, Pfizer's not available, you can get another jab, right? So
Yeah.
people have done this because that's all that's been available. Well, there's been quite a bit coming out actually in the mainstream media. I know there's this one couple had a huge honeymoon booked. So they went out and got their jabs, but they had mixed jabs. They're not accepted by other countries. So now they can't, they got it basically for nothing because they
Right.
can't go on their honeymoon. It's happening. So like I said, this is going to be quite interesting, I think, this coming year. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of people there that have lived or that have tried to go outside of Canada and they've been refused leaving. Exactly what you said there, that their vaccination stuff or whatever was not looked at as being the same.
Valid. Valid.
But it's interesting there when when you look at U.S. states, so at the southern border immigration, where they're just allowing people to just go through there and getting checked. And this goes into this other part, big thing that's on news here too, is about Afghanistan, and this has been all through like the YouTube news and all these news sites. They've just been pouring through stuff there. There was that suicide bomber attack at there where 12, it was first started at 6, then it went to 10. Now, whatever, it's 12 U.S. Army people, Marines were killed at the Abbey Road site. I think it's called Abbey Road, which is weird. It's almost like a Beatles thing. Abbey Road entrance into the airport, and it was checked with a bomb on there. It's been some sites saying it was a suicide bomber, and some say that whatever in there. Anyways, people were killed. They didn't get into the airport, period, but people end up died. And then at the same time, a car bomb went off at the hotel 300 yards away from that too as well. So this is a question that I'd have here. This is more stuff to throw into the pot of this friendly chili that we're having here. Is this agreement? Biden was VP for 8 years with Obama. During this time, 2001, the U.S. went in there. Beforehand, you got to figure 1989, the Russians were in there for 9 years. Before that, the Brits they had gone and tried to take over Afghanistan 3 times. Everything unsuccessful, period. So we went, or not we, the U.S. went in there under the guise of 9/11 attack. We're going to get ICE, whoever it was, not the Taliban.
Osama.
It doesn't matter, that the terrorist groups over there, right? So they went to go do that, and they went in there, and then they figured over there, well, we'll go change the country. The country is vastly hard to navigate through. It's a totally mountainous range, and it borders with Pakistan, and the borders aren't even recognized by the tribes that are there. The Pashtuns, like they will go across that border like it's nothing, right? It's like we don't recognize that. These borders don't mean anything to us. It's almost like how we have here in North America with our Aboriginal tribes there that live close to the borders where they go between Canada and the U.S. because the reserves and stuff like that, and they don't recognize in a way they're the border that goes across lakes and stuff like that. But this is sort of an interesting thing. So this is the question I have with all the people that were there. This was all known about a year ago about this pullout of Afghanistan that was going, and it just seems like everybody there just sort of just said, "Hey, we'll just wait till the last minute," and then, "Oh, cry and help me." Now, what about all these people there? You don't know. Like, I understand things are going to take time. People you don't know if they are actually U.S. citizens. There's Canadians, there was French in there, there's other countries that are in there that are all getting pulled out. Military's being pulled out. You don't know if their paperwork is. You have to find out that everything's legitimate. Anyways, you're going to bring in a whole bunch of people into neighboring countries and over into the States at the very last minute. And now you're looking at this as like, it's been talked about that this was a failed exit, failed mission, and the buck is being passed over. And you hear Biden blaming Trump for this, but Biden was there for 8 years as VP with Obama during this. This is sort of a thing that sort of gets sort of glossed over.
Well, I've seen some more stuff too. I just want to give a shout out to Michelle Pratt from Australia. She said she's eating her breakfast, watching us. So, hi,
Oh,
Michelle.
good.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, next time, have some chili for breakfast. Warm me up and keep you going for the day.
Yes, she mentioned. I know she mentioned something about the truckers are in protest today, but I forget. I wasn't quite sure what she meant by that. She said due to PAYS. I'm not sure what that is. Nothing to do with what we were talking about in the way of CV-19, I think is what she means. But back to Afghanistan, I happened to come across this quite by accident last night, and it was getting into about George Bush Sr. and Enron and how this all started with Afghanistan too, besides 9/11. But he had ties into Afghanistan before this. And then there was a lot of stuff in this video I was watching that sort of we've heard whisperings of Biden being involved with. So I know that they've been talking about this, but you and I were watching this interview last night, and the gentleman that was on there was talking about that they had no casualties and had 2,500 military there over the last 18 months, and things were status quo. There was no problem. And, for whatever reason, he pulled out with, like, it seemed like no warning. Like, let's face it, yes, it was talked about, but I think people were expecting a little bit of a heads up.
Oh no, there was a heads up. This was agreed with Trump before Trump left office.
Yes,
that they would pull out during this time.
I think you're missing what I'm saying is I think people expected as of such and such a date, we're pulling out. I think that that's what people were waiting for. I really do, because they've been talking about it. If you've got a business there, you've got whatever reason you're there for whatever reason, you do need a little bit of warning, not just all of a sudden we're done and that's it.
They had a year's warning. They were supposed to be May 1st, and then it got extended to August 31st. So they had over a year of knowing about this that you had to go. And that's it. And everybody knew about it, that, hey, we're leaving May 1st.
We're not at August 31st, and he did
That's right. That's the thing. And so is that what ended up happening, it was getting closer to the date. And this is just an opinion anyways on this, is that it was getting closer to the end of August and people weren't moving. And that was the thing. So you got to understand, Afghanistan is a very diverse tribal area. There's like different things. You have ISIS, you have Taliban, you have all these other splinter groups that they don't all agree with each other. They're all fighting over this mountainous area. Every little pocket in Afghanistan is really hard. If you ever look about how this country is, there's like basically only like 2 or 3 roads that are access points into an area that's very, very, very difficult territory. Like to live there, you basically have to be half human, half goat. It's all mountains, and people.
Yeah, but you also have peaceful, innocent citizens there too, Del.
Right. Right. And the thing is, though, is that if you're aware that this is going to be happening, that they're pulling out a year in advance, don't wait for the last minute to get out. And that's what ended up happening. This is what's going to end up happening. And it's going to be a really weird situation. Everybody seems to be a procrastinator, thinking that this is what it's going to be. And you know what? I think a lot of people that were there, and I'm not sure, is like they need to get out and go to another country. Well, you have to also wonder about, will the other country accept you, right? You just can't go and just plop in. But this seems to be the DNC, the Democratic way is, hey, we accept everybody in here and we give them the best, better than our own citizens. And we'll just deal with it later. He says we can just give them all money from tax money, tax the people that are there. That's the JT model, right? That's the whole thing. Don't need to work. The government will provide for you. They'll take care of you and stuff like that. And that's a really weird part to think about. And this is the whole way that this government dominance and parenting over its subjects seems to be going. We're going into like this tyrannical monarchy. What am I saying?
Monarchy.
Monarchy. There we go. Tongue tied there. Monarchy, and it's just going away from this whole thing about living free and being voting for people in there that benefit you. Now we have tyrannical governments which are dictating to you, and that's why I said if you guys want to check out that Russell Brand thing. It's about 12, 13 minutes there. COVID power grab, and explains that he eloquently does it a lot better than I can. But it's really good. Well, we're coming close to our hour, even though we started a little bit late.
You still got a little bit of time, though.
Yeah.
We said we could go over. I want to just add here, and I'm going to add something about that movie I wanted to bring up. But Michelle in Australia said the transport truck drivers are actually, she said it's toll transport. They're protesting due to pay rises. Mm-hmm. That's what mainstream news is saying, but it's due to being sick of all the testing going on for the transport of goods. Truck drivers, big rig drivers, she said, understand. I think that's what her comment said. Mm-hmm. The one thing I did want to mention, though, and whether people believe this or not, I don't think it's coincidence. There's a movie that came out in 2020 with John Cusack called Utopia. And there's a clip that I shared with you, I shared with Michelle, I've shared with quite a few people, that is pretty darn scary. And I'm not sure under what circumstances. It almost looks like the creator of this jab, if you will, he's being held hostage for whatever reason. He sounds kind of maniacal, the character John Cusack's playing, because they're asking him, this is a word from the movie now. So when I say vaccine, he said, what did you put in this vaccine? And they start talking about it. And he starts talking about world population. And he was right with the numbers about, back in the 1920s, I think it was, there was 1.2 billion people. Now we're at 7 billion. And 10 years from now, we're estimated to be at almost 10 billion. And he talks about this jab in the movie that he created, that they realized they didn't have. He talks about there's a pandemic going on and it's killing people. But what this jab they created, they realized it didn't have to kill people or everybody. But what they've done is sterilize people for the next 3 generations to decrease the population. And they talked about giving it to children and why they're giving it to children. Next 5 years, you're going to see massive decline in babies.
Yeah, and that's the playbook of the eugenicists there, and Bill Gates.
It doesn't matter whether it's a playbook. It's the fact I'm talking about. This is pretty similar to come out just before CV19, and it's a movie, is what it's. I know it's a playbook of the eugenicists, but what I'm saying is to put a movie out there under the auspices of fiction, and then lo and behold, we have a pandemic, and all this stuff is going on. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I think that's funny though it's not funny. It's scary though that the person that was funding the part of the vaccine is a known eugenicist, and his father was as well. And the whole thing has been talked about many times in interviews. You can look this up, people. Go back in the TED Talks and other stuff there of Bill Gates talking to news media and stuff like that about population, farming, and about that there's an overburden on the planet. And he talks in other stuff about the importance of eugenics, about population reduction. And you got to wonder about what he's done and what him and his wife were doing. I think that's another reason why they got divorced. Why they got divorced? Why they got divorced there too? But they were experimenting in Africa on populations over there as well.
Oh, but the line from the movie was from John Cusack was, "I'm doing what the government was too much of a." I won't say the word. It starts with a P and ends with Y to do, and I took it upon myself to take care of this issue.
Mhm.
And so this is why I did what I did, because nobody else would do it. And
Right.
then there was a second part to this from this video clip that was actually followed this one clip, and it got further into the movie talking about where we would be with the numbers and water shortages and food shortages, and got into global warming and all this stuff. And it was like, holy crap, like talk about predictive programming. I'm sorry, but
Well, that's what it is, though, and this has been talked about many times. Is that you have CIA stuff that runs Hollywood that is there, and they leak out stuff, and I think there's a part there is that when you give people the truth and you put this in their face of stuff like that, they think about it as being that it's
fiction.
fiction, and then they're like, "Oh no, that was just in a
They
movie
would
you're
never do
talking about."
that.
And that's the part there we do on the delicious recipe. We add a little bit of conspiracy in there, and I think there's a lot of people out there that can see this. You have to look at the whole picture. You have to ask questions about everything. And I say this all the time: question everything, do your own research, and look at stuff there. There's a lot of independent stuff. If you just believe mainstream media, then you know what? You might as well. I'm not going to say the rest of it. You're basically being duped. You're being led around by your nose on a rope. You have to go and question and do your own research. And everybody's got stuff there. Don't go and believe what you go on Google searches. Use alternate searches. DuckDuckGo was a good one. There's another one too that isn't run by mainstream media as well, or mainstream Google affiliates and stuff like that, where you'll see the search bars will be different. If you go and put the same word in Google and then go on DuckDuckGo, you'll get two different searches that'll go on there, which is really sort of
Well,
interesting.
Howard, you're asking what is the topic? Well, tonight, Del, for the delicious recipe, what was it? Chili con carne. We're just sort of a mixed potpourri of topics about what's going on in the world right now.
Yes, it was a warm bowl of chili that you could go and give to somebody else, a hearty meal that would keep you warm and happy for during the whole day. And that was the whole thing about it. It was just a peaceful meal and just looking at topics to throw in the pot. And you can throw lots of stuff in chili as well, though. But you know what? It's a filling meal and it lasts a couple of days. And as long as you don't fill it up with beans, I guess you're okay there for being around other people. You don't need a COVID mask on your rear end. but but anyways, we're at our time here. And Laura, why don't you tell the people out there where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me here on United Public Radio Network on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 with the Angel Rock. I have a returning guest, very good friends of mine, Augie Nost, and his co-host and partner, can't even talk tonight, Nori Love. And I have no idea what we're going to be talking about, but I can tell you guys right now, it will be mind-blowing because Augie, the stuff he comes up with, I never do the same show twice with him. It's going to be well worth watching. Also, if you ever want to get a hold of me, you can reach out to me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock. You ever want to book a psychic reading, Akashic record reading, any healing sessions? I also have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocket Tribe for all things more energetic, esoteric, power of the mind, power of positivity, and things. So thank you for having me, Deli.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, okay, just type it in there. I know I've got all these old archaic systems there that I'm doing all my media stuff with. Yep. So we started a little bit late there. There's stuff going on, I guess, down in Louisiana area where hurricane watches. I guess we're coming into that part of the season too. Just like the geese are flying north and the leaves are starting to fall off the trees up here in northern Ontario. We got hurricane watches, and I noticed that on the news the other day when I came home from work. I was watching. I guess there was one that was coming in off the coast, the east coast there around New York area, and I guess we were sort of hitting this weird type of season again. That just this year. Do you think this year? While we're waiting here for Joe to pop in here, do you think this year has sort of gone through fast? As
Yeah.
as compared to last year where we were on uncertainty which was
Yeah.
going on, but
Mhm.
as of January 6th, since that little kerfuffle in Washington D.C. up to now, this year is actually pretty much
Long.
blown right by.
Yeah. I think time's actually going faster. I know. Who knows? Might be talking to Augie about that Monday night because he wanted to talk about time, time and time lapses and time travel and things like that. But I literally was thinking that today. I was out running out before your show,
Mhm.
and they have all the fall stuff out already and Halloween, and we're
Yeah.
barely out of summer. And I went, holy crap, it feels like I just bought this, like some of this stuff. I didn't repeat buy, but what I'm saying is I feel like I just bought some of this stuff. Like it literally feels like you've blinked. Like your birthday was in May, we
Yeah.
blinked. My birthday was in August, we blinked. And
Yeah.
here we are, like we're almost in September. I do want to read though, Michelle put in here, take care, Laura. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks, Dell. Have a great night, day. See you in the future. Roland says, hey, the government will not allow any of this technology without being monitored. Oh my gosh, Roland, we could do a whole show on that, couldn't we, Deli?
Oh yeah, well that's other topics that come up there. Well, we had such a limited time there tonight there since we started late, but there was more stuff to get into. But yeah, well maybe at another time there we'll go into more stuff. But just the whole part about anything that's going on, I don't know, we throw it all in the pot and just hopefully people out there take a listen and maybe go and look into it and maybe get a different perspective. Don't just believe what you read off the top Google hit. There's other people that have other issues and that debates that are on this, and that's the whole part about going and researching is not just to listen to one source, to listen to as many sources as you can and then form your own opinion from it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's important, even what we've talked about tonight. Take a look yourself. You don't even have to believe us. Take a look yourself, see what you find. The one thing I do want to add about the farming
Yeah.
issue that we brought up with the farmers that I forgot to mention that was important that this young guy had said that the reason the farmers were being given that they were being told they had to destroy their crops was because of the carbon gas emissions. Because of that, that's what was in the paperwork he had said. I forgot to mention that. I was thinking about it. That
Well,
this.
that
Go ahead.
goes also into this whole topic of this climate change accord going towards this agenda 2030 that these elitist government people that are making millions and millions of dollars. If you want to go and look at what the Nancy Pelosi's bank account is and what her husband's bank account is, you'd be outstanding. And these are the people that are basically lining their pockets. There's actually a question that came up there with the Obama birthday party with this whole COVID or the pandemic going on, and they're looking at how much he's being paid after he's leaving office there for all the favors that he did while he was in office and that, and like he went from having this amount of money to now having this amount of money, millions upon millions of, and still getting paid for it as well. So you got to really look at who you're voting in there. Don't vote party, vote person, and that's the thing. And that's gonna be my big
Does
thing.
it really matter though? Like I said, we had a big part to play in those Dominion voting machines, and I have a funny feeling that what the sad part is with our fearless leader here in Canada, his father was in power for 28 years. There is no limit. You guys in the US get 2 terms, and that's it. Not here. He can go on indefinitely.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be a big thing there.
Oh,
Yep.
Joey's here. We see Joe's here. Hey, Joe.
Okie dokie. So see you all hopefully next week at 7 p.m. Check the delicious recipe out, and we'll see whoever guest shows up there. Good night, all.
Good night, everybody, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. We'll see you next week.